I saw a lot of good participation coming in from you to introduce yourself. So let me just go ahead and introduce myself. My name is Alan, and I am a CFA charter holder. And this workshop is brought to you by MentorMe. Okay, we are basically a skills training institute wherein we directly connect you to the trainer. And let me just give you a quick, I'll not spend much time on me, but I'll just tell you my story, my experience, and that is what is the entire game of learning. And I would be happy to learn from you also, whatever your experiences has been. We have got some fantastic people with fantastic background who have joined in. So I'm an investor, entrepreneur, and a teacher myself, Harshita. So I will be relating it with you. I had humble beginnings. I started off in a stock option company where we used to design stock options for startups, just like what Harshita has in here. And these startups obviously wanted to give equity ownership to their employees, and that is the kind of plan we used to make. We used to model that for our clients. That's how I started off. But after that, my always the interest was always to get into investments and do research and plus make money. So I got a hold of a mentor at that point in time. I was fortunate to get a mentor who was a big time trader. He was a CFA charter holder himself. And he told me to read about 100 books one after the other. So every week he would just send me one book that I was supposed to read and I was supposed to implement. And the implementation was supposed to happen on Excel. Okay, so it was not supposed to, I was not supposed to go and trade uh, in the market, but I was supposed to do paper trading on Excel, right? But that's how I got introduced into trading or investments for that matter. For me, trading and investment is more or less the same. People uh, try to put it in different boxes, but it's the same thing. Your ultimate objective is to make money, it's to make returns and to learn. So after that, I lost money in trading, just like everybody, uh, loses money in the market. And I don't really classify it as losing money, but it's the fees that you give to the market to learn how to make money. Just like how we pay fees to learn a lot of courses and degrees, the same way you have to give your fees to the market, right? So that's how I look at it now. At that point in time, it was a pretty painful experience. But yes, the learning worked, and I did make some money in trading and investments. After that, the idea was to how do we take the same offering and solution to customers, and that's how the hedge fund came in, which we were fortunate enough to start. At that point in time, there was not a concept of hedge fund in India. All the hedge fund services which were available in India were offshore. So they were not actually offered by Indian companies. Uh, Training was always something which I liked. I liked talking to people. I like mentoring people. In fact, there are a lot of students of mine who have now got into careers into research investment banking. So till date, I've got trained about, fortunate enough to train about 3,000 students in subjects like the qualification like CFA and also financial modeling, which we also call it as business modeling. And after that, I was also heading uh, an education company which is known by the name of IMS Pro School. I had products there, and after that, I founded MentorMe. So that's a bit about me. If anybody has any questions on my story, please feel free to ask. And I see a lot of people who have joined in just recently. So I was just giving everybody, first of all, I was just getting acquainted with everyone. And the second was that I was trying to give a brief about my story till date. Wonderful. So let me move ahead. So what's the mission at MentorMe? MentorMe is has only one mission. Uh, is to connect the trainers directly to the students. If I have to summarize in one line, that's what we do, right? Why do we do that? Because we feel learning is supposed to be reasonable and, in fact, as close to free as possible. And we want to make that available. We want to make the best trainers available in the area where they are expert. So, for example, if I talk about, let's say, data science, we want to make sure that we get the best data science trainers to you directly, and there is no institute in between. So what that does is that makes the entire training process non-commercial, and it makes it more reasonable. Not to say that people don't have money, but I feel there are a lot of better places where people can use that money to learn better. So, for example, in trading, you could actually take that money and actually invest and experience the entire, ups and downs of trading and businesses. So that's a very short, I could say, introduction of what Mentor Me's mission is, and I hope you guys will help us in reaching there. This agenda of the workshop. So I'm going to briefly talk about finance career pathways. How does the industry work? What roles and skills are required? My recommendation for you. And at the end, I would be covering a model. I will teach you how to create a financial model at the end of the workshop. And that would be to the far end of the workshop. But initially, since a lot of people are from fresher background, I would want to give some time on what your career pathways can be, right? So I actually had developed a lot of questions for you to actually use, but the problem has happened is I think there was a duplicate login from my side. Okay, just let me. Okay. So as I was asking everybody, what their backgrounds were, right? That's the poll that I wanted to run, but unfortunately it is not working. So I'll just move on and I will try to ask you questions directly. So career pathways in finance. Okay. There is always a confusion with people when they look at finance. And when they say finance, they think, it's supposed to be, there's a jumble of where my career pathway is, which career pathway I can take, right? So I will try to simplify that. According to my experience, there are only three areas where you could actually make your career in finance, okay, in very simplified terms. One is, are you the kind of a person who likes regulation, right? Reading about acts, reading about remembering the tax rules, going and making auditing companies. If that is the kind of a person that defines you as a person, then probably an accounting career would make more sense. Okay. If you talk about, let's say, you like business and you like to think about new business ideas, right? Then probably business finance would make more sense. If you are the kind of a person who does not want to get into business, but you want to analyze business as an external party, and you want to research on those and you want to make investment recommendation on that, then investment finance is one of the career paths that you can take after your whatever respective qualifications you've done. Now, whenever I say respective qualification, what I basically means is it doesn't matter whether you've done BCom or MBA or engineering. Whatever basic qualification you have done, after that, the career paths would remain same. But in regulation, if you want to make a career into regulation, you should be doing a chartered accountancy course, irrespective of what anybody else says. Okay. Now let's move on into looking at some deeper look at the industry. Okay, let's look at the investment industry, how it works. So there are investors at one end. You got retail and institutional investors. What do I mean by that? What do I mean by retail investors? It means, for example, today, if I have some money and I would like to invest in the market or a mutual fund or commodities, I'm a retail investor. If you talk about, let's say a bank who wants to invest, if you would like to talk about a mutual fund who would be an investor, who would invest a larger corpus, then that is called an institution, right? Now they have money, so they have funds, right? And they would like to invest in, let's say, a mutual fund. In this case, I have taken an example of Franklin Templeton Investments. Okay. At any point in time, if anybody gets any query, please do let me know. Okay. Uh, Now, Franklin Templeton is, let's say, one of the well-known mutual funds who was also known for all of the wrong reasons during the COVID time, right? Uh, and now they pool all of these capital of retail and institution, right? And they create a corpus. Now they want to obviously invest the money as per the scheme that the investor has chosen. So if I am an investor who wants to invest into blue chip companies, right, top companies of India, right, then I would have obviously selected some particular scheme. Let's say I had selected a scheme known as Franklin Templeton Prima Plus. Okay. Now this is the scheme which invests in larger, big short companies. Okay, not very small companies. Now, how is that entire process going to happen? So in the Franklin Templeton Mutual Fund, there will be analysts. Since they have the decision rights, they are called as buy side analysts. Okay. Now these buy side analysts will obviously be researching on stocks, right? They will be researching on the industry they want to take or the industry they want to bet on. Now, my next question to you is, if the buy side analyst has decided that it wants to buy a certain stock, what is the next process? Who is he? Which party in this entire system is necessary to execute the transaction? So let me know in the chat box what you think about that. What is going to be? Which is that other person that is required? If I, in the Franklin Templeton Mutual Fund, want to execute or buy a stock, right? If I want to buy it, who is the next important uh, uh, person required to execute that stock? Think about it. Since I don't have polling here, I would request people to just use the chat box as much as possible. uh, Fund manager is the one who decides that you can buy it. But yes, whoever from Redmi has answered, fantastic. You need a broker, right? It's a very common sense thing. Yeah, exactly. So you need a broker, right? So for example, let's say we have Motilal Oswal as one of the brokers, right? Now, why should I go with Motilal Oswal? Why not HDFC, HDFC broker? Why don't I go with Anand Rathi? Why don't I go with ICICI Direct? Let me know what you think about that. As a fund manager sitting in Franklin Templeton, why should I specifically select Motilal Oswal? Okay. Now let me also give you a follow-up question on that. Okay, let me give you a follow-up question on that. Let's say that rates is not a problem. Okay, at an institutional level of broking, let's say even ICICI Direct is also giving me the same rate of brokerage. Let's say HDFC is also giving me the same brokerage. Then how will these broker differentiate themselves? Anyone can answer that. Just think about it. And the answer that you give is actually the business model of broking. Okay. The business model of broking is not just trading. Trading is an outcome. Okay. Okay. But all of these are big players, right? So being big doesn't really differentiate themselves, right? For example, I am a sales executive at Motilal and I'm approaching, or let's say I'm a investment banker at Motilal Oswal and I'm approaching, let's say, a mutual fund manager in Franklin. How do I differentiate myself from ICICI Direct? Think about it. Okay. Now also think about the motive of a broker. The broker wants the fund manager to execute the trade through me. Exactly, Pratik. So that's what I said. When I say you are, let's say, I mean, operating at an institutional level, the brokerage and commission cannot be the differentiating factor, because you would try to match up to your competition, right? You would always match up to your competition. I mean, you can go, let's say, 1% here and there, or let's say not even 1% 0.01% here and there. But more than that, what is going to affect the transaction is a very basic and an intuitive thing that you actually do as a broker. As a broker, okay, what you can do is provide research to the mutual fund guy. Think about it like this: when you go to buy a flat, okay, and I mean to say flat because it is much easier to relate to, right? The broker has the responsibility to show you different buildings and the best deal which you should take, right? He also negotiates on your behalf, right? And that's the same service that even an equity research broker from the sell side gives to the buy side. So I hope that is clear, right? So the broker provides research to the fund manager, right? And in return, the mutual fund trades with the broker. So the better the research, the more trades will happen, right? And research is the area where people can differentiate themselves, not the technology, because at such a larger scale, technology will be more or less same. It is not going to make much of a difference, right? So this is what basic sell side research and buy side is. That's the basic difference. Now, so this is more about, we talked about fund management as one of the industry. We looked at broking as one of the industry. Now, let's say you bought a stock. So the example that I've taken here is, let's say I bought a stock through the exchange. Broker will trade through the exchange, and you will be able to buy the stock of Reliance Jio, let's say. Okay. Now, in order for the investors, like retail investors, as someone rightly pointed out, somebody having less capital is a retail investor. How will that guy decide whether I should invest in Franklin Templeton, whether I should invest in SDFC mutual fund? So there will be, I think there was someone who had done an internship in, I think, financial advisory, right? I forgot the name. I'm sorry. Yeah, Pratik. So Mr. Pratik has worked in financial advisory as an equity advisor. So you would need wealth management services to these investors, right? So the advisory is different. Running the fund is different. Broking and research is different careers. Okay. So these are not very exact careers. They require absolutely different skills, right? So this is fund management out here. This is wealth management out here. And the last is investment banking. So the broking aspect of it is also known as a very macro term, is also called as investment banking, right? So that's a brief on how investment banking looks like. Now, another interesting area of you can say the finance industry is banking. Now, don't confuse banking with retail banking. Going to a bank. The bank also serves a very big purpose of funding businesses, right? Bigger businesses, projects, ports, road construction. All of these are areas where bank plays a big role, right? So bank has obviously a different expectation compared to an individual or a company, right? The bank cares about returns. So it takes money from individuals and it gives it to bigger companies. In the process, the margin that they make is what the profit is for the bank, right? Now, in this place also, finance and financial analysts have a big role, because when you want to give money to bigger businesses, you want to be sure whether that business will actually work out and I will get my interest and principal back, right? And that is why you got project finance and corporate banking as one of the bigger players. This is as as similar to research as we saw in fund management, right? It requires even more analysis because it's even more real. From tomorrow, these businesses can actually shut down, right? There's credit risk here. Now, what is the second area? That how now, since I want to give money to these businesses, I would also want to know that the credit worthiness of these businesses are good. And hence, one more career comes into banking is credit rating, right? Now, that is where in a larger scale, you will see CRISIL as one of the companies who actually does credit rating, right? You got ICRA who does credit rating, right? So these are some of the career paths that you can take in banking or credit side. Okay. Now, why do we learn finance skills, right? Now, how many of you feel, this is one open question to all of you, how many of you feel that you are very good in finance? Or you think that as per the industry standards to get a job in finance, I'm fantastic, I don't need to learn anything? Let me know if you don't feel comfortable. Okay, so let me ask any one of you one very simple question. Okay, can anyone tell me in this house, people who have joined in, what is the formula for free cash flow to the firm? Okay, please understand my question. What is the formula for free cash flow to the firm? If anybody can type in the chat box. That's where I didn't want to make it very difficult for you to actually write it in the chat box. That's why I created polls. Unfortunately, some issue happened and I'm not able to give you the anonymity, which I think would have been good for everyone. Okay, my question remains on the table. What is the formula for free cash flow to the firm? Okay, PAT minus capital work in progress, not really. Good try though. Okay, uh, free cash flow to the firm is a valuation concept. Okay, and it is used for valuation for various companies because that's the calculation which we do basis. We don't do calculation basis net profit because net profit is not really cash, right? I'll ask you a couple of more questions which are more relevant to the interviews. For example, let me ask you one more question. I think this is an easy one. Take your try on that. Which is, so let me just type it in the chat box. Maybe that helps you to get the question properly. Which is higher? Okay. Okay, there you go. I hope everybody can see that. I think this is an easy one. I'm expecting some people to actually answer this. So understand my question, which is higher? Is it cost of debt or is it cost of equity? I think this is a no-brainer question. I have seen personally I've seen people coming from background, finance background, not able to answer this. Okay. So Nagasai, your answer is right. Equity is higher. Cost of debt is not higher, my friends. Cost of debt is always less than cost of equity. Please understand that. And I'll tell you a very simple example. Okay. When you take a home loan, what is the interest rate that you get? The interest rate currently is about 6.9%, right? What is the return on the market? If you invest in Nifty today, what is the return that you get? It's about 15 to 16%. So your cost of debt is always lower than cost of equity. Please understand that. And that's why many companies, you can see so many project finance businesses raising loans. Why do they raise loans? Right? Because bank money is always cheaper. Always understand. That's why we call it as leverage. And that's the reason why I say finance job interviews are getting skill specific. Okay. No more are the days where you could just flash your degrees and you could get a job, right? There was a time in 2012 when I started off my career when I could actually, I mean, if I had done CFA, people would like me. Okay. But nowadays, I mean, so many people have done CFA, so many people are from good MBA colleges. So it doesn't really make any difference. So you have to have some skills. And the first question which I asked you really proves, right, why you should learn. The reason why don't we don't remember all of these things is because we have not actually applied it, right? So it's okay. It can also help you to upskill from monotonous jobs, right? A lot of people currently are into profiles which are more of process oriented, not thinking jobs. So if you want to upgrade yourself into more research oriented jobs, then finance skills can help you, right? Grow your investments. It can help you in managing your own investments, right? Help senior managers to understand business. Even if you are at a very senior profile and your juniors would obviously coming up with business plans and business models, it will help you in identifying. Does anybody recognize this guy? So this is for the point that I made in the third specific point, grow your own investments. So this is a ordinary prof from Bombay who has actually no great income. His current value only basis investments is about 1,000 crore, right? You can try to check him, Google him out, Shivanand Mankekar. He's a prof from Bombay, purely made out stocks. Okay, so this is where finance skills can be helpful. Now, what are the core finance interview process? You should pay good attention here. What are the processes which is followed in the entire interview? One is obviously the CV screening, where your skills and academics are checked. Right, skills would include skills like financial modeling. The second skill is aptitude screening, and most of the interviews nowadays have an aptitude screening which happens, right? Uh, Third is a technical screening which happens if you're going for a core finance job where you're supposed to build models with limited data. So it will not be a very big model that you have to make, but it will be a small model, but it will have limited data, right? Fourth is technical one-on-one. So you will be sitting with equity research analysts and they will be questioning you on the same model that you made and plus asking more about questions like which I asked you just right now, right? The fifth is obviously the HR round where salary expectations and company fit is what is checked, right? So that's the core finance interview process which happens, and that's where again finance skills will help you, right? Some of the job descriptions directly mention the importance of learning financial modeling. So you can clearly see below what are the skills which are required. The ability to analyze industry subsectors and stocks, use appropriate stock valuation tools using Excel, financial modeling, strong financial and valuation concepts, etc. Right? If you look at a fresher equity research job in CRISIL, you can see a similar story. If you see an investment banking job at Goldman Sachs, you will see a similar story. If you look at a project finance job at HDFC, the same skill is required. Okay. Now the roles and pay scale of these jobs would start anywhere from 4 to 5 lakhs all the way up to 8 lakhs for a fresher. And these are all the roles that you can get into after doing financial modeling. Right. Now, if I have to summarize all of these skills, what would these be? So common command on financial budgeting, understand financial statements, prepare business plans, analysis of cash activities for fulfilling various company requirements, and very, very proficient in Excel, right? So that's the skill that you got to have in the entire, in order to make a career to finance. And also, if you would like to start a business, your understanding one of these has to be fantastic. Now, hold on, please do not jump in. We will get into the practical part of it very soon, but I had to keep this base recommendation because otherwise you will not understand what I'm saying. Okay. So my top 2 recommendation for people who are not an entrepreneur and who are, let's say, planning a career into finance, core finance, my first recommendation to you, irrespective of your qualification, is to do financial modeling. Okay, that's something that is a no-brainer, non-negotiable. Second is, if you are not from a premium MBA college or you are not a CA, if you are a CA, it's fine. But if you're not a CA and if you're not from a premium college, you got to back up with a certain qualification like CFA. And my top recommendation would be to do only CFA. Don't get into FRM, CMT, all of those extra qualifications which are not going to make any sense. Okay, so either do CA, either do premium MBA, or either do CFA. Okay, but first make sure you have financial modeling as a skill, because if you jump directly to CFA, you might end up wasting a lot of money because you might just realize that you don't have the time for it. It's a bigger commitment. Okay, so that's my top 2 recommendation initially. The second is now how to learn, right? So we at MentorMe are starting with a NSE startup modeling batch on 20th Feb. Now this is exactly financial modeling. These are the things which you get in the program. You get an NEC certification specifically for people who are in MBA and who are fresher BCom. The certification can help. You will get mentoring, which is what I benefited in my early part of the career on a daily basis. You get cases which we will discuss on various business, not just one particular domain. You can attend unlimited batches for a year. So it is not restricted that you will only be able to attend one batch in 20th Feb. If you don't get the time, you can attend the second batch, which happens next week also. And it's a 40 hours instructor-led live training. It's not video-based learning. It's a proper instructor-led training. Okay, that's what you get in startup modeling. Me, along with one of the other trainers who is from KPMG, he's got about 10 years experience into research, will be taking up the training for this entire batch. This will be the program curriculum. So we will start from as basic as introducing you to the business all the way up to making models. Okay, and I will show you what kind of advanced models you will be able to make at the end. So just hold on. There will be live industry projects. So on different kinds of businesses. So there are business types also, right? There is one business which is of a franchisee business. Then you got manufacturing business. Then you got real estate business. So all of these will be use cases will be covered in the entire course, right? Exactly the same roles that we spoke about initially is what it prepares you for, right? So wealth management, investment banking, equity research, credit. All right. The batch starts on 20th Feb, 1.5 month weekend program, weekend classes, Saturday and Sunday, and doubt solving on the phone or on the meeting will be available one-to-one during the week. The program fee for this is 5,000. Eligibility, there is nothing. You just need to be interested in finance. And we also offer a 15 days money back guarantee. If you're not satisfied with us, we will be happily returning you the money. Okay. Now, these are some of the students, what they have told about their learning with us. This was at MIT College, that is based out of Pune, where we took training for them. This is on symbiosis, where I had taken training, and I could not fit in all the reviews, so I've just taken up some of them so that it can be helpful for you. And now let me show you what sample models. Now this is where we get into the practical part. Okay, so thank you for being very patient. Let me just show you some of the models which you will be able to make after the course. Okay, so can you see my screen? Can you see a very complex Excel? Can anybody see that? Okay, I suppose you can. So, okay, great. So this is one of the models which we made for a sugarcane factory. So we are trying to so this I mean just I'm just telling you what you will be able to achieve at the end. Okay, so we made the entire, so this was a real project wherein I actually worked on this project for a businessman who wanted to set up a sugarcane factory in Maharashtra. Okay, so this was a 100 crore project, and we start from starting of the project cost. What will be the cost, what is the capacity, what will be the sale rate of the product that he makes, right? So these are all the assumptions, right? And then this is the funding part of the business, how the funding will happen in phases, right? uh, how the revenue will come. So this is the basically the forecasting of the sales of the business, forecasting of the expenses of the business, creating income statement, creating income statement, creating balance sheet, creating cash flow, creating tax schedule, calculating the returns. How much does he finally make if the business works out? So this gave that businessman a roadmap on how the business will actually work, right? It does not necessarily have to work out the same, but it's like saying, I don't have a roadmap, I don't have a map on where I want to go. You might not go to the same destination, but at least you've got some navigation tool with you. And that is what modeling is, right? So this is what we had done for, this is one of the models, real cases that we will be doing in the class. Then one of the cases, apart from this, is also, let me show you that as well, uh, on the equity front, right? So for example, if you would like to, let's say, make a model on a publicly listed company, right? So this is one of the examples that I'm giving you. This is one of the students, actually I've taken the template of one of the students who made it in my class. This is on Airtel. So we have started from understanding the business of Airtel by going through their financial statements, looking at various services that they offer, right, and trying to forecast their businesses in the future, creating their cost, what will be their future cost expenses, creating their income statement, balance sheet, cash flow, debt schedule, what their debt cycle will look like in the future, right? And how their assets will look like, what will be the valuation of that company, and also going ahead and doing some sensitivity analysis. How will the stock price move if I change certain parameters, right? And that's the stock price. So we calculated beta, covariance, variance. So this is what you will be able to do in the main program. Now let's come to what we will be able to do today. Okay, so anybody who is interested in joining the batch on 20th Feb, I am rolling out a Google form on the chat box. You can just put your name and details if you're interested, and one of the counselors will get in touch with you. Meanwhile, I'm going to share one Google Drive link wherein you will be able to find the workshop file. Okay, that's going to be a model that we're going to solve today, and please just press on that link. Uh, I mean, just click on that link and you will be able to access the file. It will be an open link. So just give me a second. I should be able to send you that sheet. Okay. So if my colleague can probably roll out the Google inquiry form on the chat box so that you can actually put in your interest if you are interested. And meanwhile, I'm just trying to get you the file. Okay, I got it. So I hope you have some form of spreadsheet available with you so that you are able to practice this. Otherwise, it's going to be a little difficult. If in case you're joined in through you know phone, it's going to be difficult for you. So check that link. I've just shared you the Drive link. Let me know if you get that link. And let me know if you can actually see the file in that. Okay, I have also rolled out the inquiry form. If anybody is interested in the main course, it starts on 20th Feb. And you can just click on the mentormecareer.com startup modeling link, and you can put up a query there, and someone from MentorMe will call you. Okay, some expert counselor will get in touch with you. Okay, so did you guys find the files, guys? Please confirm. If you confirm, then I will be able to start. Okay, so Linda has got the file. What about the rest? Okay, Nagasai Manoj, let me answer your question till then. I'm looking for a job in IB sector. I have good knowledge in finance. How I will contact? I didn't understand. How will I contact? What do you mean? You want to contact me? Nagasai, I didn't understand. Okay, how will I get a job in IB? Okay, so if you already have the skills in place, then you can go ahead and start applying for these jobs. If you don't have the skills which I just mentioned in the start of the webinar, then probably you should get your skills in place. And if you would like to get the skills in place with us, then you can fill up that form. Else, if you would like to take up the skills with someone else, that is also fine. Okay, so what about rest on? So I can see Mr. Patel and Moses has confirmed that they have got the files, but what about the rest? I can see Purnima, Pratik, Ravi, someone from Redmi. Everybody got the file? Guys, I want some form of interaction. Okay. And this is going to be similar if even if you join my class, you don't get to keep quiet. Nagasai, if you have everything, then you can just start creating your resume and start applying, buddy. What's the problem? Start applying for jobs. Okay, so let me share my screen and let's start with the modeling. So anybody understands what this is? Meanwhile, my Excel is opening and I'll share my screen. What do you understand by looking at this template? What do you understand? So this is one of the use cases which I thought would be much easier for the first class, at least for our demo session. So we are starting a car showroom. Okay, we have a proposition from someone, let's say Toyota, okay, who's has offered us to start a franchisee business on a car showroom, setting up of a car showroom. Okay, and we have been able to get some data on what are the requirements to start this business. Okay, so if you see on the left, you can see this is my basic requirement, that I need a showroom of 15,000 square feet. And I got to go down, which has to be at least 30,000 square feet in size. Okay. I am unable to open the drive folder. Is it happening with anybody else? Let me, Purnima, what you can do instead is just, if you could just quickly WhatsApp me, or let me just type in your email ID. I'll share you the file. Pratik, yes, NISM is, I mean, see, at least in the initial, years, some certification adding it is really helpful, right? But obviously, after that, you have to prove your skills also. Okay, so Purnima, just hold on. I'm just sending you the file. Anybody else who has not got it, please let me know so that I can quickly send you the file. And be patient, guys. This obviously this the thing that we're trying to learn is going to take some time. Okay, so there you go, the file, sent it. If anybody has the file and can help some people who have not received it, please do that. Okay, so let's come to the Excel. Okay, now the initial renovation that is required for this business is about 25 lakhs is what we are estimated, right? Now you can see on the left, the deposit for showroom is 6 months rental. Okay, deposit for go down is 6 months rental. Now let's start calculating right away. How would we calculate? Is equal to, so every function in Excel, if you're new to Excel, let me just put it down for you. Okay, every formula in Excel will start with an equal to sign. So just go to that link and type equal to. Okay, once you do that, there are two ways of multiplying. One is I take the cursor directly to 15,000, click on that, put a multiplication sign, which is shift and 8, and multiply it with, you can see here, rent for showroom. Okay, which is given as 150 rupees per square feet per month. So 15,000 multiplied by 150 rupees per square feet per month multiplied by 6, because it's a 6 month rental. So I multiplied with 6. So I should get some answer, which is, you can see here, is about 1 crore 35 lakhs. Are you getting the same answer? Let me know, guys. I hope everybody has received the files and there's none who is sitting without a file. Pratik, yes, MBA in finance is, I mean, it's a qualification, right, Pratik? So just like I have CFA, right? So just the similar way you have MBA, right? But that's just a qualification. But what about the skills? Do you know how to do what I'm doing right now? If you know, then you don't need anything else. Okay, deposit for go down. Let's calculate that. Again, similar calculation. 30,000 is the size of the go down multiplied with 30 rupees per square feet per month, which is the rent for go down, multiplied with 6. So that gives you 54 lakhs. So that's my initial deposit for go down and deposit for showroom. Keep putting up the questions. If you have any career related queries also, you can keep on putting that. Absolutely no problem. I hope you can see my screen, right? Oh, let me check. You were able to see my screen, right, till now? Okay. I just got tensed that I was just talking without showing you anything. Okay. So basic calculation on my initial money that is required to start this business has been calculated, right? Now let's look down. You can see here that my staff requirements I have put. I need one manager, three salespeople, two admin, three go down, and their respective salaries per month. And the increment in salaries I have assumed as 10% per year, right? The operation and maintenance expenses, okay, which are also called as OPEX, okay, is taken as 15% of revenues. Okay. Now, why have we taken as operation and maintenance as 15% of revenues? Anybody can answer that. Why am I not calculating electricity plus water plus this and that? Why am I taking 15% of revenues? So see, making a model is fine, but you got to always justify your assumptions, right? So the reason why we are taking 15% as a percentage of revenue is because we have looked at a similar business and we know that all of these extra additional expenses which come to run the business comes out to be somewhere around 15% of the business. That's why we have taken the assumption as 15%. Okay. So always understand what you're doing. Okay. What is the funding assumption we have taken? That we will be taking approaching the bank for 50% funding for the initial capital. You will only fund the initial business. We are not taking a working capital loan. We are taking a capital loan wherein we want to do capital expenditure. And what is the total expenditure? 2 crore 14 lakhs. So if you see on the right hand side of my screen, down below, you will see the sum is 2 crore 14 lakhs. That is where we need the funding. Okay. So how much will percentage will be equity? If 50% is debt, then 15% will be equity. But we need to make sure in a model that we keep the calculation always on. We don't want to go and write 50% here. That is hard coding. You never do that in a model. You make sure you do cell linkages. So you do is equal to 1 minus 50%. Getting it? So then later on, if your assumption changes, your model will automatically change. Press enter and you get 50%. Now let's calculate the debt raised. How will we calculate this? Again, is equal to multiply 50% debt with, put a sum function sum, open the bracket, 50% multiplied by sum, open the brackets, go scroll up and select these three cells. How do Hi, sorry. My internet just went bust on me. Let me get my screen in place again. Yeah. So were you able to calculate the equity, the debt raised? Please let me know. Okay. Now let me quickly calculate in a similar manner how much will be the equity required. Okay. So let me multiply 50% equity into sum of, scroll up and select all the initial costs and close the bracket. Enter. So equity is 1 crore 7 lakh, debt is 1 crore 7 lakh. So it's about 2 crore 14 lakhs is what my initial funding requirements are there from different sources. Now let's come to the right part of the model. This is what is called as a revenue matrix. These are the products you sell. These are the quantity you sell. This is the price of the product. And this is the commission you get. Okay. So we are going to calculate the commission that we get by selling each of these cars. So multiply the number of units sold by price by commission. So you should be able to get commission as per each of these products. Okay. So that gives me, let's say for Prado, it gives me almost 1,20,000 per car that I sell. Now, how do I paste this formula across below till Etios? So I press Control C and I get these dancing ants. That's what we call it in a funny way, if it's funny. And I paste it across down. How do I paste it? Press Shift, down arrow keys, selecting the cells, and Control V. Control V. Okay. So that gives me commissions as per each of these cars that I sell. Okay. Now what I do is I add all of these and get 39,91,100. Confirm whether you get the same answer. Do you get the same answer, guys? Pratik, are you getting this? Okay, Meghna got it. Okay, great. Wonderful. So 39 lakhs 91,000 is calculated. Now let's come down to the calculation of financial statements. Now, obviously, this is a demo lecture. So I am keeping this as simple as possible. So I'm only making an income statement. Okay, we are not creating balance sheet and cash flow. But in the main course, we will. And there will be no template in the main class. So we will be creating templates also. So let's calculate the year one revenue. Can anybody tell me what is the year one revenue? Is it 39 lakhs 91,000? Should it be 39 lakhs 91,000? No, it should not be 39 lakhs 91,000. It should be 39 lakhs 91,000 multiplied by 12, because that is just monthly sales. Exactly. Wonderful. Okay. Now, how can I increase this revenue? So we have taken an assumption that this revenue will increase by 10% year on year. Okay. This is just an assumption. In the real business, you can actually modify this and try to find why it will grow by 10%. Okay. You need to justify that. But for simplicity take, I'm taking 10%. So how do I grow this? The formula will be last year's revenue into bracket 1 plus 10% and close the bracket. This is a simple mathematical calculation. Whenever you increase 100 rupees by 10%, you multiply 100 into 10% plus 100. So I've just taken a bracket and that simplifies it. So I get 52 lakhs 68,000, 68,000, sorry, 52 lakhs. What is that? 52 lakhs 68,000 as the revenue. Okay. Now let me just copy this across. Control C, Control V. So last year's revenue should come as, I'm so sorry, it is 5 crores 26 lakhs 81,200. Last year's revenue should be 7 crores 1 lakh 18,677. Please confirm if you get the same revenue. Great. Now let's calculate the rental showroom. Okay. Now this is again yearly. We go to the left, multiply 150 rupees per square feet per month, multiply it with 15,000, multiply it with 12, and we get the rental showroom. Similar thing, you do it for go down, salaries, operation maintenance, expenses. Okay. I have rolled out the inquiry form in case anybody has missed it. It is available in the chat box. Okay, rental for showroom for rental for go down is equal to left 30,000 per square feet per month. Sorry, 30,000 square feet multiplied by the rate of rent, which is 30 rupees per square feet per month, multiplied with 12. That gives me the rental for go down for the year. Okay. Now, as you can see in the model, we have not assumed that the rent will increase. In reality, we can take an assumption where we can actually increase the rental for go down also. But here, since it's going to be the same, what I can do is to keep this same, I will go to the next cell and type equal to the last cell. Okay. So I keep it as is equal to last cell and press enter. In that case, the number remains constant. And also in case of rental for go down, I do the same, is equal to last year and paste it. Now salaries. Can anybody tell me if I have to calculate the entire salary of all the staff in one cell, what formula should I use? Since if you do manually, you will have to do 1 multiplied by 35 plus 3 into 25 plus 2 into 20 plus 3 into 12, right? That's a long process. And that will sometimes in bigger models create errors. Anybody who has worked in Excel can suggest me what formula to use. Anyone? Okay. So I guess no ideas. You can use sum product. Okay. So sum product is going to do the same thing what I just was saying a few seconds ago. So it asks for array 1 and array 2. Array means table. Okay. So we select the first table, put a comma, select the second table and close the bracket. And it does exactly what I said manually. But now since this is monthly, I will multiply it with 12. So I get 22,32,000 as the salaries. Getting it, guys? So this is where Excel helps in finance, and hence in most of the job descriptions, why is it required? And I think in life also everybody should learn Excel. Simplifies uh, simplifies life for all the decision making that is required. Okay. Now the salaries are supposed to increase by 10%. So into 1 plus, I will select increment in salaries. And I'll put a dollar sign. Okay, there is a concept of a dollar sign. The reason is so that I can keep this number fixed. Otherwise, if I copy the formula to the right, this will happen. So I'm just going to demonstrate that. If I do not put a dollar sign here, the shortcut to put a dollar sign is F4. If in case you're not able to put that, what will happen is you will get an error. Why is that happening? Because if you see here, instead of taking B20 in the red button, it's now taking some other cell, which is here. So that's why you put a dollar sign, which will not let that happen. So you go between B and 20 and press F4. If you have a function key on your keyboard, you can press Fn and F4. So that will keep that fixed. You do that and you paste it across. So you get your salaries and for all the years. Now we calculate operations and maintenance. Remember I asked you, why are we taking 15%? The reason is we have estimated that all the other expenses, again put a dollar sign for 15 and multiply it with revenue. Okay, press enter, copy it across. Okay. Now I'm going to calculate operating profit. Let me know if anybody has any doubt till here, or I will proceed. Okay. So let me calculate the operating profit. What is the meaning of operating profit? It means is at the operating level of the business. See, we are not talking about profit or taking care of now Hello. Yeah. So I think facing a bit of network issues at my end. Extremely sorry for that. Okay. Are you there with me? Okay. So operating profit we calculate as revenue minus sum of all the expenses at the operating level. So it gives me a profit of 6,76,200. I copy this formula across all the cells and I get operating profit at all the levels. So I've just paused my video. I think that's the reason why this internet is giving me some issues. Okay, so that's the operating profit. Let me know if you are there with me. Hey guys, you can hear me. You're following me. Okay. Now let's calculate the interest expense. The interest expense we are going to calculate is 13%, which is given here as commercial loan rate. Put a dollar sign to that, F4, multiply it with the amount of debt. The debt, if you remember, we had calculated as 1 crore 7 lakhs. So C24 multiplied by C33 gives me the interest expense, 13 lakhs 91,000. Paste it across. Now you may ask, anybody has any interesting question here? Although you have calculated interest expense, but don't you think the interest expense is same every day, every year? Is that a problem? Don't you think that is odd that our interest expense is same every year? Any thoughts on that? Okay. The reason why it is same is because in this model per se, we have assumed to keep the model simplified that we will not be repaying any loan, any principal till 5 years. Okay. So we are just paying the interest and hence the interest expense is not reducing. If we were repaying, we would have to create a debt schedule for that. Okay, now let's calculate profit before tax. So operating profit minus interest expense is profit before tax. So we make up a loss as with any business for the first year. We are at a loss before tax. At profit before tax, we are making a loss of 7,14,800. Okay, now let's calculate the tax. How do I put up a formula? Do you anybody got any idea on what formula I should put here, or should I directly calculate tax? All the commerce students, if they can enlighten me on this. Should I directly multiply profit before tax into tax at 35%? Is this the correct formula? Anyone? But if this is done, then is this correct? Then you are calculating negative tax. Right? So then that means from a modeling perspective, this will put our model into a problem, because if any year we are making a loss, it will do all the wrong calculations. So we need a formula which will first check if we are making a profit also or not before calculating tax. So in that case, what I can do is I can put up a if function. Now, if function is called a logical operator. So what does that simply mean? It means that it will first check whether there is profit or not. If there is no profit, then this will not calculate tax. So my logical test, as you can see here in bold, is going to be whether J24, which is profit before tax, is greater than 0 or not. So that's the logical test that I'm running. If that turns out to be, if that logic is true, okay, if the value is true, then I will calculate tax, which is going to be J24 multiplied by 35%. If it is not greater than 0, if the first condition is not met, then the value of which will be put up here will be 0. So this is again one of the modeling skills. You need to make sure that you have considered such a situation will not happen. So that's why we used an if function. So there you go, no tax is calculated, right? I hope you got that formula. So in the main course, we will be covering Excel from basics, if in case anybody has having issues. In this workshop, obviously, we are focusing on creating a model, giving you a flavor of modeling. But in the main course, it starts from 0. Okay. Now I cross this, paste this across cells, and I get my tax calculated. Finally, my net profit is profit before tax minus tax, gives me the net profit. So your income statement is done, but we are still not there yet. We need to calculate returns. Everybody with me here till here? You guys with me? Please confirm if you are with me. I can just see 1 or 2 people. What about the rest? Are you guys getting it? You didn't like the workshop? Didn't like the template? Please do let me know. Okay, anyways. Now we calculate cash flows. Remember I asked you a formula of free cash flow? And I got some people who were trying their best to give me a calculation on that. So all returns are calculated basis cash flows. Okay, let me write that down for you. All calculations are done based on cash flows, not net profit. Can anybody tell me why? Why are we stressing so much on cash flows? Which accounting principle, since this can be a basic question in an interview, which accounting principle is mandating me to use cash flows and not net profit? Give it a try. The accounting principle which is not letting me use net profit is the principle of accruals. I hope we have learned accruals in our books. Yes, fantastic. Right? So net profit does not necessarily mean that we have received that money in cash. It can be a future cash flow also. He can just say that, okay, I have given you the Prado, I'll give you the commission later on. Then what? Right? But all your expenses are in cash, no? And your business valuation has to be done on cash, right? That money might never come back. So for now, we are assuming that this net profit is cash to simplify the model. Otherwise, we will have to make balance sheet to calculate the cash flow. Getting it? Okay, so that's my operating cash flow, which is linked here. Now I will calculate my initial investment. What is my initial investment? It is add the total initial investment 25 lakhs plus 1 crore 35 lakhs plus 54 lakhs. And you need to make sure that when you calculate returns, the 2 crore 14 lakhs has to be negative. There has to be a minus sign because it is going out of your bank account. Okay. The debt amount raised. How much debt did we raise? We raised 1 crore 7 lakhs. So I'm going to link that also from here. Should the debt raised be positive or negative sign? Should it be positive or should it be negative sign? Positive. Good one. Because the money is coming into my account. And when I invest, the money comes out of my bank account, right? So debit and credit. Now, after 5 years, this debt amount has to be repaid. And hence I will go to year 5 and type is equal to minus, because it will go out of my bank account. And I will link my debt raised, right? So debt was raised here. It was repaid here. Okay. Now you can see here at the end of the 5 years, we will exit the business because we will have to assume that we exit the business to calculate my actual return. If I don't exit the business, then it is perpetual, right? The business never stops. And hence I will not be able to calculate quantified returns in terms of a percentage. So at the end of 5 years, the deposit money will be returned. What was the deposit money that comes back to me? If you see here, it is 1 crore 35 lakhs and 54 lakhs. So that is 1 crore 89 lakhs. That comes back to me, it will be positive. So we got all the numbers plugged in here. Now we will just add it up, all of them. And there we go. So we have the total cash flows or the free cash flows of the company. And now I will calculate returns. Anybody got any idea of what is IRR? You can see here IRR. Anybody knows what that is? It's a part of a very basic curriculum. I think we have looked at it in our BCom also. Yeah, looked at it in MBA also. CA also. It's called the internal rate of return. Absolutely. Good one. So what is the internal rate of return? The next question is, we can simply calculate it. It's very fine. I can just type is equal to IRR. I have the function. I open the bracket. I select the cells of all the cash flows, close it. That is fine. I know the return will also come as 41%, right? But what is IRR? Okay, so these concepts we have to learn. You have to understand what these actually are. Okay, so what it's not as simple as it looks. The Excel has made it look very simple to calculate IRR. But tomorrow, if you are told to calculate IRR manually, it is going to be a challenge. And that is what we will teach you in the course. Okay, so we'll teach you also. Now we come to sensitivity analysis. Business does not function always as per your assumptions, right? The initial assumption that we took is 50% debt and 13% interest rate, if you remember, right? This is the original assumption. But what if we had taken less debt, or what if we had taken more debt, or what if your interest rate reduced, or what if your interest rate was more? What would happen to my returns? So that is where Excel can help us in doing sensitivity analysis. So it can repeat the entire IRR calculation again in a matter of seconds. Okay, let me show you how to do it. So you link the IRR calculation out here just in the adjacent cell next to the assumptions in the table and press enter. Now, what you are telling is this is the original calculation that Excel needs to repeat in this matrix. Okay, so I'm going to select from 41% all the way up till all the assumptions are covered. Go to data, go to what if analysis. Okay, so again repeating, select from 41% the entire table. Okay, click on data above, go to right side where you will see forecast sheet and what if analysis, select data table. Now it is asking for me is I will repeat this calculation. Excel is saying that I will repeat this 41% calculation in the table, but let me know first what have you written in the row, which is this, and what have you written in this column in the original model. So my row input, as you can see, is interest rate. So I'm going to go to the left side and see where is my interest rate assumption. It is here. So I'm going to select row input as this assumption. Okay. In the column, what have I written? Debt percentage. So I'm going to go ahead and select debt percentage in the model where I've mentioned it. So now Excel knows what is this numbers that you have written and what are these numbers that you have written. Okay. And accordingly, it will repeat the calculation multiple times to give you a sensitivity analysis. Now, this is what is called as sensitivity. We did it with debt and interest rate. We can also do it with sales. We can also do it with cost. We can do multiple sensitivity analysis for the business. And this is very critical whenever you want to understand how your business will function if some of the things in the world change. For example, COVID, right? You never thought COVID can happen, but you can do simulation to see what will happen. So that's it, guys. That's the max I can teach you for now. As I said again, if anybody is interested in joining the full-time course, the paid course, which is only for 5,000, you can click on this link, and the offer is valid only till, so currently we are just giving this for till 15 batch. 15 batch is 15th of Feb is where we close the batch, and we do not take more admissions. So if you want to enroll, you can directly enroll also, or if you have some friends who would like to join along with, then you can do that as well. Or if you want counseling, if you want to speak in detail with someone, if you want to talk to me, if you want to talk to another faculty, you can put it up in the form and the counselor will arrange a call for me. If you have any questions, now is the time. So you can just put it in the chat box and I will be happy. Or if you want to unmute yourself and talk directly, that is also fine.